Hey folks, David Frost, mystrategicforecast.com. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis, Tuesday, December 16, 2014, looking at a daily chart of the SPY, and it was an interesting day. It looked like today we were going to put in a bottom, but we didn't do it, and if you look at the intraday analysis, this is the 10-minute chart, all right, we basically went down early in the morning, all right, put in what would be termed a doji candle, and then we rallied up, right, and it looked like we were going to have one of those 250, 300-point up days in the Dow, nice 25, 30-point up day in the S&P. It just looked like it was going that direction. And then we rolled over, and we rolled over about 11:30 in the morning, and we kept going down. And it's interesting because that 11:30 to noon time frame, usually we put in a low, the market kind of goes to sleep for a few hours, and then you get a little bit better action later in the day. But we had the opposite effect today, and the market rolled over, and it basically sold hard into the end of the day, the last half hour. So what does that mean? Well, here's the deal, all right? This is what I think is going on. Let's go back to the daily. And you're getting to the point where, and I'm going to use the term maximum, but it's not really maximum. You're getting to the point of heavy, I'll use the term heavy negative sentiment, right? If you turn on CNBC, you're hearing a lot of bearish commentary. If you look at the blogs online, any financial website, Yahoo Finance or anything like that, you're seeing all kinds of bearish articles. Now it's all about Russia, and it's all kinds of stuff, and it's about oil, it's about Russia. Oil, if oil doesn't rally, the market's never going to rally. Well, I got news for you, folks. Lower oil prices is positive for about 80-85% of America, right? Most everybody benefits from lower oil prices. Businesses benefit from lower energy prices. Consumers benefit from lower energy prices. The only people that don't benefit from lower energy prices are energy companies and people invested in energy companies. That's it, okay? And believe me, that is not the lion's share of the country. The lion's share of the country has the opposite sentiment. The opposite impact is positive. So don't listen to that nonsense. And what I've been telling you is that I thought the downside target was going to be right in this 197, 196.75 area, this gap window here, which the low is actually 196.73. So we still haven't got there. And what's interesting is tomorrow is the conclusion of the Federal Reserve meeting, and they're going to put out some notes, and everybody parses the words, and the market normally whips around, and the market's usually quiet leading up to the Fed announcement, and then it whips around, and then it finds some stability, and then we go from there. Now, the market may be volatile all day. We don't know until we get there, but nevertheless, expect some volatility around the Fed announcement at 2:15. And if I had my way, while I thought today was going to be a bottom when we went down early in the morning, but we never got down to this gap window, and I think that's the target. Okay, and if we go through that, you have two more levels that are support, and I've been mentioning these over the last several sessions for the last week and a half or so. And the second one would be the gap fill that is right about here at about, we'll call it 196 to 196 and a quarter, okay? And then right underneath that, you have the 200-period moving average right at 194.86 today. It'll be a little bit different tomorrow by a few pennies. And so you're coming into a lot of support in the market. And as the sentiment gets more and more bearish, and as you come into the targets, which are heavy, heavy support for the market, that becomes prime for a market turn. Whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens next Monday, we'll see how it plays out. But nevertheless, these levels, 1, 2, 3, should provide very, very good support for the market. And the more bearish the sentiment gets, The more short you have going on in the market, the more shorts, that means that the more forced buying you'll have when the market does turn, and that'll shoot the market higher. And we're not looking for new highs into the end of the year. That's not going to happen at this point. But what you can see is you can see at minimum of a third of this move down, okay, from, let's call it 208 down to 190. We'll call it 197 for argument's sake. Okay, so that would be 11 points. So a third of that is basically, let's call it anywhere from 4 to 5 points. So if we go here, 197, you're going to rally back up into this neighborhood here at minimum. And then you'll probably flutter around for the end of the year. The markets will get real quiet. So is this a time to begin picking up some longs? Yeah, I picked off a couple today, a couple over the last few days. And yeah, a little early, but one of them is in the money. One of them is positive. That was Boeing. I showed you that last night. Boeing had a decent day, up a couple of dollars. It was up more during the day when the market was rallying better, or when the market was rallying. But it still finished up almost 2% for the day, and that's good. So we'll see how it plays out, but you just have to be aware that as the bearish sentiment comes in, we're gonna be on the other side of the boat. You don't want to be with the herd mentality. You want to be going the other way from the herd. Right now, all the herd is going bearish, so we're going to start to get a little bit more bullish as the days move on. And tomorrow, and don't forget, this is options expiration this week. And options expiration is notorious for a lot of whipsaw action. And tomorrow with the Fed announcement, and it's Wednesday, which is also known as Whipsaw Wednesday, a lot of up and down action, volatility can be had. Therefore, you're going to start to look for these levels to be hit. And once those levels will be hit, you're going to start to look for the market to find some support. And that's where we are. Let's just go over real quick to the IWM. We didn't really see anything definitive in the IWM today. You know I like to have it as my market tell or one of my market indicators. But I've been telling you that coinciding with the SPY, you're looking for this level down here at about 111 to 111.50. And once you hit this level, the S&P and the IWM should begin to rally, and expect the IWM to rally before the S&P. That's typically how it will happen. Okay, let's go over to crude oil. We'll look at the USO. And the USO tried to put in a little bit of a bottom today, okay, and then it sold off again towards the end of the day, but it did try. And if you look at the intraday action, you see what happened here, gap down, and then we rallied, and then we kind of sold off, but we went sideways for the majority of the remainder of the day. So this isn't all that bad, but if I go back to the daily chart, if I can get there, if I go back to the daily chart, okay, you had good volume today on the USO. You had 47.5 million shares when the average is all the way down at 12 million shares, give or take. Okay, at least the last month and a half average is probably closer to 15 million shares. But 47 million shares is a big day. But it wasn't in order to see a reversal day, you really have to see it finish closer to the highs, and we didn't see that. So there could be more downside. In fact, the crude oil is down another 58 cents or 1% in the Globex session right now, down at 55.35. So we'll see. The low today was, I think, 53.60, if I'm not mistaken, in that neighborhood. So we'll see what happens. Or that was yesterday, I believe. No, that was today. Let me just see. I'm looking at another chart, trying to get the low for the day. And bear with me, folks. I got to go over to the daily. And yeah, the low was 53, 60, 65, something like that. So we're just not, maybe that is the low, but I didn't think this was a good reversal day in the USO, although it had heavy volume. Let's just let it fall, let it show us the reversal day, and then we'll hop on some of the energy plays. And I put out a trade alert for a price target on an energy play today, and we didn't get to the price target, so the subscribers should be patient. You can even put an order in for the number that I sent out to the subscribers early this morning. I even sent it out before the market opened. So keep that open. We didn't get there, but maybe we'll get there tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Now let's go over to gold. Gold is interesting because on my cycle work, I have tomorrow as a daily bottom in gold. It may not be a long-term bottom. We still may see some choppy action in gold, but I do have a daily bottom scheduled for tomorrow, and therefore we should see some upside momentum, whether it's tomorrow or Thursday or Friday. These cycle bottoms and tops can come in kind of a plus or minus one day. So maybe it was today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's Thursday, but I do have a cycle bottom. It's a daily bottom, so that's good for about anywhere from let's call it 3 to 6 trading days, and then we see where the market takes us from there. We see what the pattern presents, and we see where we go. We just take it day by day, but I do have a bottom scheduled for tomorrow in gold. Now, you're hearing a lot of chatter as it relates to Russia. I mentioned Russia before, but Russia's mentioned with the market, Russia's mentioned with gold, and you're hearing rumors that Russia's selling gold to raise money. And, maybe that's true. There's really no way to verify that. But here's the deal. Think about this for a second. If Russia's selling tons of gold to raise money, that's fine. On first blush, you would think that that's putting pressure on the price of gold. Well, guess what? If they're selling it, somebody's buying it. If they're selling physical gold, they're not selling futures contracts. That means they're actually selling bars of gold. So that doesn't show up in the market. That's nonsense. And if they are selling it, there's a buyer out there buying the same bars of gold. So that should have no impact on the market whatsoever. They're not selling futures contracts to raise money. That's my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, and I don't know that they are selling gold. But if the reports are true and they're selling gold reserves, that means they're selling physical gold, and that doesn't show up in the market. So that's nonsense. So don't pay attention to that also. I will mention one other thing on Russia. Okay, the RSX is a Russia ETF. Okay, and check this out. Okay, the Russian ETF, 71 million shares today. Heavy volume yesterday of about 45 million shares, 47 million. Today, 71 million. Average volume's about 11 or 12 million shares. Okay, now watch this. Okay, look at the intraday analysis. Okay, hit a bottom here down at 1250. What was the low? 1250. Okay, on the low, and we reversed up and went all the way up to almost $15, and then we fluttered around the rest of the day. This could be considered a low, okay? You didn't finish on the high, but you didn't finish that far off the high. Heavy volume. This could be considered a reversal day. We'll have to see what tomorrow brings. So this may be a tell into the next few days. Maximum bearish sentiment today and yesterday in Russia. And then all of a sudden, the Russian ETF rallied today and was up. Let me just get some numbers out here. The RSX was up. Bear with me. I'm just going to my other platform here, and it's obviously not coming up. Perfect. All right, it's not coming up. So from the here it is. We were up. Now that's an after hours quote. Anyway, we were up pretty good today. Nevertheless, sorry about the quote, folks. We opened at here. Today, we opened at $13.18, hit a low of $12.50, and finished at $14. So we were up about 82 cents on the day, and on a $13 equity, that's pretty good. All right, so look for a bottom in Russia as the bearish sentiment hits maximum levels. How many bulls do you think there are in Russia right now? If you took a survey of 100 people, how many you think would be willing to buy Russia right now? Not many. How many people you think would be willing to buy the stock market right now? Not many. So that's an indicator that the market is poised to turn. All right, I blabbed on enough tonight. I'm David Frost, mystrategicforecast.com. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis.